Recently, the number of assault actions by the Russian army in the Pokrovsk direction has decreased. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Ukraine are carrying out certain counteractions and have, albeit minor, successes. Let's go right now to this crucial section of the front and see the representatives in action. 25th Airborne Brigade. Let's watch exclusive footage from our colleague from the news service, Yulia Kirienko.
A Ukrainian drone, operated by a pilot from the 25th Airborne Brigade, is searching for enemy positions in the thicket near Lisovka. The village, which just recently was a hotspot where Russians were constantly attacking our troops. Now it is under Ukrainian control. The pilot spots 2 Russians trying to reach their positions. But in vain. The occupiers are dying among the remnants of the trees. It was in this Pokrovsk direction that Ukrainian soldiers managed to defeat a significant group of Russians, effectively wiping out several enemy brigades and capturing not only regular infantry, but also Russian assault troops.
Everyone who was supposed to assault us, we pushed back and flushed out. Everyone is coming to us to surrender.
First, our troops attacked the occupiers' headquarters in Selidovo, completely destroying it with a precise strike. A hideout with enemy officers. Then we took control of the main logistical routes from this currently occupied city. So much so that it has become completely impossible for the Russians to either leave or enter Selidovo. The Russians themselves wrote about this in their public forums.
There are no forces left. We don't know what else to do. The sky is completely in the hands of the Ukrainians. It's impossible to drive more than 3 kilometers away from Selidovo. They are burning absolutely everything.
By the end of February, the Ukrainian defense forces began to gradually improve their tactical position. Southwest and north of Pokrovsk, particularly in the area of the village of Kotlyne, which the Russians occupied a little earlier. Wow, how beautiful. Kotlyne was held by over 100 Russians. That was the information from our intelligence before the assault. There, the enemy was gathering and trying to advance further. Pokrovsk, in order to bypass the city and cut off the main road to Dnipro for our forces. Then the settlement where people still live would have had every chance of being surrounded. But the 25th assault troops changed the occupiers' plans.
We drove in with the equipment because it was a sudden option. To drive in right away, unload by ourselves. First of all, this is unexpected for the enemy. One group started earlier while the second group, which later reinforced, was clearing the area.
The battle for Kotlyne lasted more than 1 day. First, the strike drones took apart the enemy's positions. Next, the artillery got involved, targeting the most fortified hideouts of the Russians. Next, our armored groups on BMP-2s and infantry went in for the assault.
The first step is to stabilize the situation. The second step is to inflict maximum damage on the enemy in the settlement of Kotlyne, to destroy as much as possible. The third is to cut off all approaches to the settlement, and the fourth is the occupation of the settlement. We went in...
Prisoner contact. The clearing of Kotlyne from the enemy allowed our forces to pull the front line back, from the highway. Dnipro-Pokrovsk is the main logistics route in this section of the front. And we pushed the front a little further away from the city itself, not allowing them to get close.
In general, everything is destroyed at the approaches.
But this assault, unfortunately, did not make the enemy stop completely. While they retreated a bit, the neighboring Sand was actively attacking not far from Pokrovsk. And somehow our troops pushed back from the southern part of this equally key village in the Pokrovsk direction.
In February 2025, well, just recently, Ukrainian defenders destroyed the largest number of Russian armored vehicles ever. At first, there was a full-scale invasion with manpower, of course. And what's important here is that it shows itself very well on the front. Ukrainian DAS weapons. This was confirmed by journalist SN Weeks by Alexander Zagorodny. He visited a secret position of the artillery system Bogdana, and right now, he will talk about its so-called growing pains, which is an objective process, and about why the fighters have come to love this Bogdana so much. We present this material for your attention.
The bloody sun is slowly hiding behind the Donbass spoil heaps. Our filming crew is heading to a secret position that no one should know about. To the gunners of the 48th Separate Artillery Brigade. They are armed with Bogdana, which is a Ukrainian artillery system. 155mm caliber standard NATO, quality on par with the best world samples. But how does it perform in battle? We arrive at the position already in the dark, while enemy drones are constantly searching for our Bogdanas to destroy them. Bogdana is coming in for a landing, seemingly from below like it's coming out of the ground. The gunners have only a few minutes to prepare before they are spotted. Enemy night reconnaissance drones. Just a few shots and Bogdana disappears again. Somewhere deep underground. From a neighboring position, they reported enemy drones in the air. Already in the bunker, we managed to sit down with the gunners and talk about Ukraine's latest weapon. These guys have already fallen in love with Bogdan, they say. There are still some minor childhood illnesses. After all, it's a new system, but the main thing is that it works. The crew especially appreciates the armored cabin, which can withstand direct hits from powerful enemy lancets. The armor has saved more than one life.
And I filled the car with water. The vehicle is actually pretty good. The vehicle is good, I'm telling you. The chassis, the cabin. The cabin is American-made. It can withstand 2 or 3 lancets, though the windows are shattered.
There were days, the fighters say, when they could only manage to rest for 2 hours a day. Bogdana is operating at the limit of its capabilities. The commander with the call sign Saint notes another feature of the Ukrainian gun, its accuracy. A shot.
The first shot is just for calibration, like with all artillery. The second and third always hit the target.
Really?
Yes.
What target are you aiming for with the second shell? What could that be?
Damn, yeah, the MLRS hit this morning, really, right from the start of the day. Mainly personnel.
Ukrainian weaponry is slowly but surely appearing at the front. This is already the 110th Brigade of the Unmanned Ground Systems Unit. While the enemy is increasingly using donkeys and horses at the front, the guys are testing out these new drones. In the coming days, they will head to the front lines to evacuate the wounded and deliver ammunition. All these developments, both the thermite and the robot Volya, are domestic. And yet, how quickly technology is advancing. Back at the beginning of the big war, Ukrainian soldiers could only dream of such technology. Now it's here, if only there were more of it at the front. Ukraine is already producing dozens of different ground systems, many of which are combat vehicles. But for now, transport aircraft are in first place.
The main thing about thermite is its versatility. It can be used for evacuation, for delivering ammunition and food supplies. You can even equip it with weapons. And this is a really cool machine. Here, Volya is specialized for us. It's only for evacuating the wounded. Such technology will save a lot of lives.
I can't help but ask the fighters about the negotiations. Commander with the call sign, Hook believes that the enemy is currently pushing with all their might, as they have little left. In order to capture as much Ukrainian territory as possible, our fighters need to hold their ground and withstand this pressure.
The more there is, the more trump cards we have up our sleeves, the easier it will be to discuss later whether they leave that area or not. And right now we're all waiting for these unclear negotiations. It's exactly the hardest time that will determine what will be on the negotiating table, what the conditions will be. Hold out, we need to endure. Well, basically that's what we're doing. Yes, it's a bit more complicated now.